This is so weird. Seeing all you guys here together and not like laying face down. It's just a little different. For all the guests who I haven't met, I know there's a couple of you. I'm Dr. Lucas, that's my wife, Dr. Courtney, and that's our team member Natalie. This office we opened in January, so we are fairly new, and the reason why we opened this office is to just share health with the Santan, Queen Creek, Mesa Gilbert kind of area that we're in. So really happy that you're here. Tonight, the goal, it's called Nutrition 101, but I want to first start off by telling you what this is not. This is not me rattling off a bunch of different ingredients that you should go eat and not eat. I really don't want this to just be strict information for you. There will be some of that, but that's not the primary goal of this. The real goal behind this is to teach you how to think, to give you guys principles and equip you to make the decisions for yourself. Because I don't know if you've known in the last 2 years how much the science has changed. Like, we can all agree on that. So the goal is to teach you guys how to think. Before we dive into the really nutritional specifics of healthcare, we got to take a step back first and look at the problem, really. And for those of you who are patients, we've probably talked about this a couple times before, but there's a big problem with our healthcare system. You know, simple stat that I can give you guys is of the top 37 countries in the world, number 1 being the healthiest country, longest lifespans, number 37 being the least. Guess where the United States ranks? 37. Oh, no. 37. Now, flip that, and number 1 now spends the most money on healthcare, 37 spends the least. Where do you think we rank?
Number 1.
Number 1. So the problem isn't money, but we still have a massive problem. You know, almost half of our kids are overweight. We take some of the most medications, more than ever, compared to all the other countries. I think the stat last I checked was the average 60-year-old takes 12 medications every day. That's average. So we're not going down that road. But here's the problem, is that the reason why we're there mainly is because us as Americans, we don't really value health as much as we should. But the bigger problem is that even when we have a health crisis and we do say, oh my gosh, I need to value my health, the information that we're fed to or the system that we turn to, it doesn't help us. And the information that we're given is actually a lie. So I want to show you guys how you've really been lied to in a couple different areas. You know, you've been lied to that cholesterol is caused by heart disease. Or I'm sorry, heart disease is caused by high cholesterol. And there might be some of you here who still think, and that's fine, that yeah, high cholesterol, heart disease. But you've been lied to. Latest research shows that from the American Heart Association, lowering total cholesterol increases overall mortality. They've known this since the early 2000s, but they haven't told you. And instead, what you see is commercials for Wheaties and Cheerios saying, great part of your morning breakfast for your kids because it has low cholesterol. And they put you on these statins that have been not proven to do any work with your health, but at least it lowers your cholesterol. They lied to you. You've also been lied to with cancer. So many different times I've heard people say, yeah, I had cancer. My oncologist said that it has nothing to do with what I eat. Yeah. Who's ever heard that before about their cancer? That it has nothing to do with what you eat. That preventing your cancer, it was just bad genetics. And to cure your cancer, it's not about what you eat. It's not about the sugar. It's about your chemo or whatever thing I have. You know, they did a nutritional study in the Lancet Journal, one of the most prestigious medical journals out there, where they looked at the hours of nutrition that doctors got in a year. It was something like 29 hours in their entire schooling, which equates to like 7 hours a year, and then educating on nutrition. It's like, we could do that in a weekend. But they lied to you about the cancer. And the studies show that when you feed cancer sugar, it lights up like a Christmas tree. And we've known that all the way back since 1931, and yet they're still saying it has no effect. You know, I don't think we can ever put into words how much we've been lied to in the last 2 years with them saying your immune system does not exist. And it doesn't matter how much vitamin D you eat, or zinc or selenium, or the foods you eat, you still need this pill or this shot in order for you to stay healthy. we see the research coming out now. They lied to you. So what I want you guys to see right off the bat is that you've got to stop putting your hope and your prayers into the same people that have lied to you over and over and over again, and their drugs and their surgeries and their procedures. And you've got to start putting your hope into the power that's already inside of you. Because I don't know if you know this, but all of us started as 2 cells. From 2 cells, we started to replicate and divide and replicate and divide. And it didn't just turn into this big mass of undifferentiated cells. No, they started changing into heart cells, into liver cells, into eye cells and hair cells, until at 42 weeks, you came out and you were a baby. And then it didn't stop there. Within the first year of your life, you had 60% of your brain develop. And your bones grew at the same length, and your eyeballs fit in their sockets, and your fingers were all the same size, hopefully. And I have one question for you. What doctor was coordinating all of that? What shot or what pill did you have to take, or advice did your parents have to listen to make sure that you grew healthily and that your blood pressure stayed normal as you were a kid and that you digested your food? What doctor? There was none. It's the doctor within. So that's the power that is called life. That's what separates living from a corpse. That's what we work with here. And what I want you to see is that's the power of everything I give tonight. Every piece of advice, every action step. The only purpose of it is to allow more of that to flow through you and out of you, instead of trying to put in something artificial or man-made to prop you up second rate. Does that make sense? Okay, because that's the principle. That's what we're going for. And really, before we continue, I got to share with you guys, anytime we make nutritional changes, it's hard, right? Is eating healthy hard? Is being sick hard? Yes. So really, it's choose your heart. But when you wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning for your morning workout and it's hard, you have to have a reason why you're doing it, or else this is going to be like 95% of every diet that people try that fails. You guys know that? Yeah. 95% of fad diets and lifestyle changes fail within the first month. The reason is the why. They don't have a big enough why. So I don't know your why. There's a lot of barriers. I'm not going to touch on all of them, but only you know your why. But what I want you to start by realizing, and the bigness behind this, is I want you guys to start accepting what God has planned for your life, and it's big. And that bigness that's planned for your life, you are better equipped to do, energetic. It's when we go through life fatigue, sick, in pain, on different medications, we're less able to live out the life that God has planned for this here, in that purpose. So whatever that is for you, I don't know, whether that's being a dad, a coworker, a mom, whatever, attach to that why, and you'll find that it's not just about you and a mirror or anything like that. It's about something bigger. So attach to that why, and it'll make it much easier to break through the mental barriers, such as getting up in the morning and a higher grocery bill than normal in the last several months, things like that. So, you guys ready to get started? Yeah. Let's do it. Okay. So, we start off big picture. There are 3 major dangers in what we call the standard American diet. And that are these: too much sugar, too many toxins, and not enough good fats. Most of the things we talk about tonight are going to be focused on fixing one of those 3 areas. If you want to revolutionize your diet, 4 things are what you're going to focus on. First, we got to clean up your carbs, because who knows what carbs, simple processed carbs, turn into? What do they turn into the minute you eat them? Sugar. Wow, you guys are ahead of me. Awesome. Sugar. We got to fix your fats. One thing we're going to break, one myth that we're going to break, is that fat causes problems. Fat causes you increasing weight gain. It's just not true. You want to perfect your proteins, and we have to eliminate or trash the toxins. All of these are action steps that you can do that's going to better your health and your life. And before we bust through this first myth, I want to just share a quick testimony about someone who's really going through this right now. Mike, if you could you come up here really quick? Could you guys give Mike Golden, my father-in-law, a hand? I told him to do this last night, but Mike, I I want you to just briefly share what your lifestyle of nutrition was a year ago or 2 years ago.
Wow. Well, after being in construction 34 years, I pretty much ate whatever I wanted to. Didn't matter whether it was fast food, occasionally healthy. And then when this COVID thing hit, I started asking questions, you know. And then I started to, wake up in the morning and I was always tired. Totally fatigued. I work long days. I get to work, I'm okay. I'm good to go. I think I'll be fine. Next morning, same thing, just over and over. And then when we discussed the nutrition, it was a little mentally tough. It was difficult to start. But I think we are now on, what day is it? Day 22 of the advanced plan.
Yeah, which is, we'll talk about that here.
Sorry. But I mean, but other than that, even some of the stuff I made changes before, some of the fasting we did, I did, some of the stuff I learned from him, we finally put it into full gear. And I don't know what to tell you. In fact, I feel 20 years younger. I feel really young compared to what young, but I'm working on that. But anyway.
He is currently doing, I'm doing a test run on Mike. He's not halfway through. No, this is stuff that's kind of true. But he's made a big shift. He didn't tell you, but you used to drink, what, 2 liters of soda a day?
2 liters of soda a day.
Yeah. How much do you drink now? Zero. And we have that Zevia and all those other drink stuff up there because that's a great substitute, which we can talk about later. But, and one day he just decided to do it. It was a choice. And I got to share one more thing because how old are you turning this year? 60. So we were having dinner the other night, and I didn't tell you this because we were having dinner the other night, and it was like beans and meat and whatever. And we cut up the avocado. And so I'm cutting the avocado. We eat a lot of avocados, and Mike typically doesn't eat avocados. So I said, oh yeah, have some avocados. He takes the avocado. He gets a spoon. He's like, so what do I do? Just kind of like scoop it out like this. I was like, Mike, have you never had an avocado before? He's like, no, I haven't had an avocado. So at the age of, you have never scooped it.
No, I'm not. Well, I've had whatever
guacamole. So, all that to say is, it's a choice. Thank you, Mike. Because the first myth that we have to dispel is that it's all about your genetics. Biggest example, sad, tragic example I can give you guys, Christina Jolie, Tomb Raider. You guys, what is it? What's her name? Angelina Jolie. I don't know. Angelina Jolie, beautiful woman, had the precursor genetics for breast cancer. Got super spooked, said, I am going to preemptively have a double mastectomy so that I don't get breast cancer. She bought the lie that it's based on your genes and not on your lifestyle. The studies show, with cancer, and this is not from some natural journal, with cancer, this is from the Pharmaceutical Journal. They show that 5 to 10% of all cancers are genetic, which means 90 to 95% are based in lifestyle. Same thing with heart disease. I hear it every day. Oh yeah, my dad had a bad heart, I got a bad heart, it just runs in my family. Up to 95%, same statistic. So it's not based off your genes. If you are going to a doctor, and I'm going to say, I love doctors, I have some of them in my family, ER nurses, everything. I'm not saying anything bad about their hearts, but if you are going to a doctor, you know somebody who has, and they have type 2 diabetes, and they have not been telling you or telling your loved one that type 2 diabetes is curable within 45 days with lifestyle, they're not doing their job, in my opinion. In my opinion. They changed type 2 diabetes from adult onset diabetes, they dropped that name because now they see it in kids under age 12. Why? Because of lifestyle. So it's not genes that are causing the problem. Let me show you one thing that is at the root of a lot of these things. Inflammation. Everybody here heard of inflammation?
Yeah.
Pretty. 3 things that are going to spike inflammation. And one thing you guys got to realize is, God that made this body smart. Inflammation is actually a really good thing. It's a really good thing. If I sprain my ankle, my body sends blood flow, platelets, increases the blood sugar in my body, takes away a lot of the energy from doing a lot of other stuff so it can heal. That is inflammation. And when my ankle is healed, it stops. The problem happens when inflammation goes into the chronic, goes unchecked. So ways that happens. Number one, most common is sugar. Sugar, when it gets into your bloodstream, your body can't have a ton of it all the time. So what your body does is it secretes a hormone out of the pancreas called insulin. And insulin, what it does is it goes around to all of your cells and kind of knocks on the door and says, hey, do you have any room for sugar? And it opens the door and lets sugar go into the cells outside of your bloodstream. When you have so much sugar in your cells, they open the door, there's no more room, the sugar stays in your blood. That is called high blood sugar. That's where high A1C numbers come from. Anybody ever heard of that? Or anything like insulin resistance? All that means is that insulin is knocking on the doors of your cell and they say, hey, there's no room in here. So the cells are resistant to insulin's messaging. Now here's what happens. This creates inflammation. So what happens when you have sugar coating a blood cell and you heat it up? Everybody ever made caramel before? A lot of heat and a lot of sugar. That's what happens in your body. So as the blood gets towards your hands and towards your feet, it starts to caramelize when it goes through those small little capillaries, and the capillaries start to die. This is why people have polyneuropathy, numbness and tingling in their toes, changes in cold hands and cold toes, because those nerve endings, those blood vessels, actually start to have decreased function. Second, where is there a lot of blood flow in your body? Your brain. Okay? So they've linked high sugar, they call it now type 3 diabetes, which is dementia. Dementia, the inflammatory effect of sugar is a direct cause of dementia. So two things sugar causes, one of them being, inflammation directly causing to brain degeneration. Number two, damaged fats. This is pretty much, anybody ever heard of like canola oil, your seed oil, soybean oil, all that stuff? Yeah. Those are gonna fall under your damaged fats category. They did a study. You guys know that heart disease used to not be a thing, like in America before, like Dwight Eisenhower had a heart attack. He had a heart attack back in the day, and America went into a panic about what is this thing called a heart attack. They used to think it was caused by pent-up anger. Like, it was wild. But they traced it back, and heart attacks went like this in the United States when the introduction of soybean oils and all these toxic oils went like this. It's a direct correlation, and it's because of the inflammation in your blood vessels. Toxins. This is going to be your pesticides, your herbicides, your heavy metals, all of that. Let's move on. One thing I'm just being frank with you guys, there's so much good stuff that we could go over. I want to make sure it's actionable for you. So the biggest thing with the inflammation is going to be the sugar. On average, Americans eat about 55 pounds of sugar per year per person, which is a lot. Considering back in the early 1900s, we had nearly zero of it because we just got it from other forms. So sugar is going to be causing the biggest spike in your body's. It's going to cause the most decrease in your body's health. The reason why we have Zevias and LaCroix out there is because guess where the most amount of sugar is coming in for a normal person? In drinks, coffees, your sodas, all that stuff. That is where it goes straight to the bloodstream. So for you, if you're looking to cut down sugar and manage weight, one of the biggest things you can do to change your trajectory is to take out those sugary drinks and change it to one of those, big time. It's also, what is that? Or just drink water. It's also, we have a lot of sugar in our diet because it's in nearly everything. Courtney sends me to the grocery store and says, I need the tomato sauce without the sugar. Do you guys know there's sugar in your pasta sauce? Yeah. I spend every time like 5 minutes looking through the pasta sauce to find which one doesn't have sugar, because I can't remember which one I got last time. And number two, they all have sugar in it. Yeah. Same thing with ketchup. If you look at a ketchup bottle, a quarter of it is straight sugar. It's wild. So it's hidden in everything. So you got to be able to look at those labels and choose the ones that don't have sugar. answer to this was Splenda. They saw the sugar coming up, causing obesity, causing all these things. So market opportunity, they took sugar, they put it through a factory, and they changed its structure. And they said, hey, it's made from sugar, so it acts like sugar. One of the biggest lies ever. These things, Splenda, sucralose, aspartame. You guys ever heard of these?
Yeah.
This is what is in your diet soda. So Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, all of those. And the thinking was, hey, this is sweet, it doesn't have any calories, we can fix the obesity crisis. That didn't change. That didn't change at all. And not only did it not change, what they found was these chemically altered sugars change the gut microbiome, the gut flora in your digestive system. The gut has direct links that go straight up into the brain. So this was causing massive behavioral issues in kids like ADHD and insomnia, things like that. In adults, it was causing anxiety, depression, neurodegeneration, all from drinks. So if you were going to have a soda, I can't remember who I was talking to about this the other day, but we were talking about, I think it was Coke. Yeah, instead of having Diet Coke, just have the real thing. Like I'd rather, it's better for your health.
Yeah.
Anybody ever heard of leaky gut? So I get this a lot. People come in with a food allergy and they say, oh my gosh, dairy destroys me. Like I can't have dairy, I can't have gluten, like all these things. You guys know that almost all, there's some genetic play in this, but most of us are designed to be able to withstand that. Totally fine. But what happens if our gut has been destroyed through eating things like this and other inflammatory foods, the tight junctions that line the cell wall in our digestive system, when under inflammation, they start to open. And so when foods pass by, like dairy or like gluten, instead of going through just the cell membrane, they now have extra space to get through. That's leaky gut. And so it goes into your body and causes further inflammation. Now, when you take another way, let's say you have a regular processed beef patty, which has on average 60 DNA different cows in it. It goes through your digestive system. Your body sees all this DNA. That's where we get autoimmune disorder, because it's just freaking out by everything it has to deal with. So, long story short, eat sugar, real sugar if you're going to do it. But what I would recommend is that little plant right there, stevia. That's what these Zevias are sweetened with. If you can handle the little planty taste at the end, I know that's there, you can do it. You'll get used to it. If you're going to not do stevia, do the real thing. Get some honey, some maple syrup, some dates, some berries. It's amazing how good something can taste when just sweetened a little bit. All right. Myth. Fat makes you fat. This is what started the low-fat diet craze. I don't know if you don't have to raise your hand if you still think fat makes you fat. But they thought that, yeah, if you ate fat, this is going to cause people to gain weight. And it made sense because the amount of calories in 1 gram of fat is 9. The amount of calories in 1 carbohydrate is 4. So they said, oh, just eat more carbohydrates. This is why when you see the food pyramid, what's on the bottom? Carbs, your breads, your wheats, your grains, your cereals. They said, just eat all of that. Well, what did that do? It caused a whole host of problems, one of them being our obesity epidemic. And here's why. It's the same thing with the insulin and the blood sugar. When you have carbohydrates, you eat them, they turn straight into sugar. That goes into your bloodstream. The insulin says, hey, let's get this into the cell. It takes it out of the bloodstream. And now your body says, oh my gosh, after a while we need more sugar. I'm hungry again. So you get hungry again. This is what happens when people eat lots and lots of Chinese food. It like fills you up, you get hungry again. It's not because you actually need to eat, it's because your body is on what we call the glycemic roller coaster. So when you can get off of that is by eating fat. And you'll have much more satiety. You won't be as hungry. So bad fats versus good fats. They don't even allow, I hope nobody here still eats margarine. If you do, toss it in the trash. It's garbage. Hydrogenated fats, hydrogenated oils, they had a crisis. The whales were going extinct for the machineries. They used whale blubber for the Industrial Revolution. And they thought, what can I do? Well, we had a lot of cotton, so we ran those through machines, and they said, hey, I think we can make this edible. that's what they did. So they hydrogenated it to make it a solid, and that's what's in a lot of our cow feed and is in a lot of other things like Ritz crackers and things like that. So it's not food, that's the bad fat. We want to focus on good fats. So this is like, your olive milk, olive oil, your avocados, coconuts, all these things, a lot of your omegas from grass-fed beef and fish. Focusing on good fats, if you take one thing away from the night, is increase your good fats big time. Those are what you want. Also, before I get any further, I don't know if I said this, one of the goals for tonight, and what myself, Dr. Courtney, and Natalie are going to ask you is, find one thing, one action you can take from this that you can act on either tonight or tomorrow, or like immediate. Because anybody ever heard of like the law of diminishing intent? Like you get this notebook of notes that you think you're going to do great with, and then like it sits and you never touch it again. So if I could encourage you guys to just fixate on one thing that you hear from tonight and implement it, that's going to make this not a waste of time for you, and is really going to help you reach your goal, take you closer. Okay, who's ever heard that red meat is bad? Everybody? Yeah. So, and a lot of us still might believe that. There was just a study done in February, like last month, 2022, where they looked at 175 different countries and looked at their meat intake, and they saw that meat was associated with longer lifespan. This is another lie that we've been told based on fat is bad. It's not the fat, the saturated fat in the meat that is bad. It's the conventional way of raising the beef that brings in all the fat. So all the corn, all the grain, all the antibiotics, all the toxins that get built up is what's going to cause the bad effects from meat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with meat, the problems with conventional meat are two things. Number one, toxic bioaccumulation. When a cow or anything eats another plant or an animal, it focuses that into its fat cells, into its tissues. So when you go and eat it, you are getting the hyper dose of whatever you ate. So you got to make sure that what it's eating is clean. And I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know that some ranchers, like factory farm feeders, have contracts with candy companies? You guys ever heard of that? The candy companies will sell stale, old, outdated candy to hogs and cows to make it that they gain weight faster. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And then we eat them. Or with farmed fish, not even that they have to go in and dye the fish of the salmon. You know how salmon's supposed to be pink? They got to dye it pink because it's not pink if they farm it. If you haven't seen that, look it up, or don't look it up. But, guess what they feed these salmon? The salmon are supposed to be out in the wild, swimming, having a good jolly old time. They feed the salmon corn. They dump corn into the pens to feed these fish so they gain more fat. And those corn are GMO, all that stuff. It's not fit for human consumption. So you want to be extra cognizant about where your meat, whether it be seafood or beef, is coming from because of that toxic bioaccumulation. Second piece, essential fatty acids. This goes straight into the good fats, bad fats. There's two that you want to recognize. Everybody's heard of omega-3s, but that's the good one. People haven't heard oftentimes of omega-6s. We have lots of omega-6s in our diets. The purpose of omega-3s and 6 is to fight inflammation. So helping you live longer, less pain, less symptoms. The only way that happens is if the ratio between 6 and 3 is balanced, like a 2-to-1 ratio. In conventional grain-fed beef, it's like 25-to-1. In grass-fed, it's 2-to-1. So if you can focus on, even just with your beef, getting something that's more natural grass-fed, it's worth the extra $1 or $2. So biggest bang for your buck, changing animal products first. I know just a couple of examples. Grass-fed beef, you can get this thing called Market Side Butcher even at Walmart, and it doesn't break the bank. It's grass-fed, and go for it. It's not even that expensive. Free-range chicken, wild-caught fish, natural source dairy. There's a couple of dairies around the East Valley that you can get this stuff. I know of one off Ironwood that does great butter, milk, cheese, and eggs. So I would highly recommend it. next one, next myth. Bottom of the food pyramid again. You need 6 to 10 ounces of grains every day for a healthy diet. That's the recommendation. I don't know if you guys know weights and measures, but 6 to 10 ounces is a lot of grain. That's like a big serving size. The problem here is that most of the grain that is in our food supply is GMO or sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, so it goes straight into you. Second piece that I want to realize is some people say, well, bread's got to be good. Jesus and the disciples ate bread, so therefore I eat bread. What I want to show you, what I want to explain to you right now is that the bread of ancient days is not the same as today. Specifically the wheat. Back then, the wheat was like 4 feet tall, and it was mainly protein, and it grew super slow, and it was really hardy, like a hardy, strong plant. Today, it's soft, it's a little bush, it's mostly carbohydrate. It's been hybridized thousands and thousands and thousands of times, so much so that they have their Roundup Ready crop, which is more of a GMO, but they can spray something across the wheat crop that kills everything in its path but the wheat. So it's not the same, is what I'm telling you. You can get, the reason why they put grains at the bottom is because back when this was made, cereals and grains being the most important for a healthy diet, when they made that recommendation, America was under a problem of malnourishment. They just needed calories. So they said, oh, here's a quick and easy way to get it. Up the carbohydrates, up the grain. You don't need it at all. You can get everything you need as far as nutrition and calories from and carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables. So if you wanted to cut out grain, you totally can. Did we talk about this one? Cholesterol causing heart disease? Yeah, we did. We didn't look. Okay, I kind of touched on it. So this is what they said causes heart disease: cholesterol. Now, cholesterol, your body's made smart. God didn't make junk. Cholesterol goes up in response to, what do you guys think? Inflammation. Who said that? Good job. Inflammation. Cholesterol is your body's ambulance. It's what takes everything and moves it. It's a transport fat. The only reason it goes up is because your body is in a state of inflammation. Every healing process that your body does requires, at some level, cholesterol. So we don't want to lower cholesterol, at least dietarily. Second thing, what is the fattiest, most cholesterol-rich organ inside your entire body? You guys this? Brain. Your brain. Your brain is made up of 70% fat, which is why when someone gets their gallbladder removed, which is almost as routine these days as like getting your tonsils removed, when someone gets their gallbladder removed, which the gallbladder is what digests fat so you can absorb it, that person, their risk of dementia goes up because they don't get enough fat. So don't make it harder for yourself. Eat the yolk. It's good. Eat the yolk. All right, let's dive into some little nutrition plans. This is not a fad diet. This is more of a lifestyle. So there's two kind of options that we promote here in this office. One being core plan, the other being advanced plan. Core plan is, I could sum it up as just eating what God made. Everything that God made is pretty much on the books. You want to avoid added sugar though, and you want to avoid anything that is processed. If you are looking, you're raising a family, or you're just thinking of something that is relatively easy, you can still go out and do things while maintaining your weight and your health, core plan would be the one for you. Also, word about weight loss. If you're eating core plan for a year or two, I would be surprised if your weight didn't normalize, okay? Just a note about that. Number 2, advanced plan. This is a little bit more restrictive, but the reason why is simple. It's like core plan, but no grains and very, very few fruits. And the reason why is because of sugar. Fruits like mangoes, bananas, even though really good for you and they have benefits, they also spike sugar. So if you're looking to reverse any disease, whether it be Alzheimer's, cancer, like all this stuff, doing accelerated weight loss, advanced plan would be what you want to be geared towards a time, okay? That would be for a time. We're going to give some examples of foods that are going to be really good for you, and they're all advanced plan formatted. And this goes a little bit easier. You're going to eliminate grain, sugars, and fruits on the advanced plan, except for berries, grapefruits, and Granny Smith apples, because what do you think they have less of in those? Sugar. Yeah, it's simple. Protein. The difference between, if you're hearing this and you're saying, hey, isn't this kind of like paleo or keto? The difference is, while those, yes, in essence, they are very similar, this focuses on grass-fed, organic, raw dairy, raw cheeses. Like, it emphasizes that, so you're not building up the toxins. That's where this really changes from, hey, this is just a lifestyle for you to lose a couple pounds, to, no, this is for you to reverse some chronic inflammation, arthritis, cancer. This is where we see that change. So, and then with fats, removing all the bad fat oils, you're replacing them with good ones. Toxic foods, I mean, this is, we just want to eliminate, because of all the additives and the pesticides that are sprayed on our crops. We just got to get rid of it. We got to get rid of it. Okay, I wanted to get to this. Top 10 superfoods. So I told you guys this will be more about how to think, but I also want to give you guys some specific examples of what I recommend through looking at all the research. So I found 10 that were going to be some of the biggest bang for your buck. Avocados being my number one. They go great with everything, right, Mike? Yeah. Really, really good, high source of fat and fiber. Eggs, super high source of protein. There's no junk in them. They're pretty simple. Cilantro is up here because of its effect at chelation. Chelation is your body's ability to remove toxins, mainly heavy metals. A lot of vaccine side effects, a lot of pharmaceutical overdoses, things like that, or just standard fruits and vegetables grown in suboptimal soil, filled with toxins. If you have cilantro, it's able to allow your lysosomes, your body's cells that transport trash out, to take those heavy metals and get them out of your system. Okay? Love cilantro. Coconut. Everything with coconut. It's pretty much pure fat, which is going to be really good for your brain and really good for your overall health. And that's how I use coconut oil to cook. We use coconut oil sometimes for bathing, right? For our kids. Like, it has so many different good effects. Highly recommend it. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, those are going to be your fruits that you can have that are really high in flavor, really high in nutrition, and really low in sugar. Antioxidants that those provide are, I mean, pound for pound, probably the most antioxidant-rich foods that you can eat on Earth. So having those instead of a banana or instead of a mango, it's not even a competition. And that's a great way to sweeten your food if you are cutting down on sugar. All right, grass-fed beef. Not only from what I've just shared, but just the pure taste of it, like protein, the fat, the way it makes your energy levels go up. Protein and energy go hand in hand. If you can get grass-fed beef, go for it. Greek yogurt. This is one of my favorites because it works hard, meaning you can use Greek yogurt for dessert, and you can use it for savory foods. It's really high in protein, really high in fat, and really low in sugar. If you wanted a dessert, you mix Greek yogurt with some berries, boom, you've got your parfait. If you wanted something a little bit more dinner-esque, you can mix Greek yogurt with meat, some beans, some rice, and it is delicious. I found this out. We were living next to a family that were they from Iraq? Mohammed and his family? I asked Mohammed, he's 5 years old, playing with our kids, and I said, hey, what's your favorite food? And he said, rice and yogurt. I was like, what? 5-year-old rice and yogurt? But we forget how much other cultures rely on cows. That's their main staple. They get milk, cheese, butter, yogurt, all of it. So that's what they were used to eating. And it goes to show, I mean, you can use that and you'll be healthy with Greek yogurt. Best one, Wallaby, organic, super good. Butter, go for it, it's good for you. 3 nuts, Brazil nuts, walnuts, and pecans. I put up there what Brazil nuts look like because I don't think everybody knows what those are. But those 3 are really good. Walnuts and pecans have the perfect ratio of omegas 6s and 3s, so really good at fighting inflammation and really good for your brain. Pecans are the fattiest nuts. Brazil nuts have high levels of something called selenium. Anybody ever heard of selenium?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I had it when I first heard of it. Selenium is, if you haven't heard of it, it's really important for thyroid function and immune function. So when everyone was getting censored the last 2 years by saying vitamin D helps corona and all this stuff, vitamin D and what was it, zinc and iodine, the third one in there that nobody was talking about, but everybody was low in it if they're in the hospital, selenium. Brazil nuts are the highest level of selenium in a food that you can have, so I eat them every day. Last one, salt. Salt being one of the best foods. Is that a surprise for anybody? For me it was. The past thinking was that salt and blood pressure go hand in hand. The more you raise salt, the more you raise blood pressure. The research has changed a lot on it, and salt, if it's good salt, would you believe it that some salt has actually added sugar in it? It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I know. But the good salt, sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, Redmond salt, has a lot of the trace minerals that you need, like zinc, like iodine, and your body works like a battery. It's massive for sleep, massive for energy. If you're getting muscle cramps or chronic pain, having a pinch of salt under your tongue with a glass of water in the morning and the evening, if it's high quality salt, can be a big game changer. It actually boosts your hydration. So every day, that's what I do. Pinch under my tongue, drink it. It helps massively. Okay, the bottom 10. Avoid these at all costs is what I would recommend. And I know life happens, but I'm not going to talk about all of them because I've talked about some of them. I wanted to touch on colorings because I think this one often gets missed. Food colorings, dyes, the preservatives that are in, Jolly Ranchers and what else?
Skittles.
White. Who was talking about Skittles? The white Pop-Tart. They have a specific ingredient that makes the Pop-Tart more white. It's like a bleach. They've linked this to tons of childhood behavioral disorders, ADHD, hyperactivity. Like, you can talk to some moms who will say that it happens every single time. So you want to get rid of that because it changes the brain. Getting rid of all artificial colorings. Goldfish. Why are goldfish in there? Do you guys love goldfish?
No, our grandson.
And I know they give them to our kids at church like every Sunday. The reason goldfish are up there is because when you run the report of what food has the highest level of pesticide contamination, goldfish. The highest. So they do make other alternatives like Annie's Crackers makes a great one. You can't even tell the difference. But you want to avoid the standard issue, Sunday school goldfish. We've talked about soda, we've talked about factory meat. Margarine, yeah, I'm not even going to talk about that. This one is tough for a lot of us. Alcohol. And I have alcohol up there. It's not just a drink here or there, but if it's a consistent thing, alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. Which I see you hiding back there. Lock the doors, Natalie. So literally the nervous system that you need to use for your brain to communicate with your body, that function that we talked about, what was that like for everybody who's a patient here, like on day 2, that goes down. That's not a good thing. So it's used in moderation and very limitedly so, but you want to make sure that that doesn't become something that you have to hang on to. If it is, we got to find a way to get out of it, because that, not only for other reasons, but that's going to taint your health faster than a lot of these. Okay, so let's say you're eating advanced plan, you're getting adjusted, you're avoiding the bad fats. You might think that you're getting adequate amounts of every nutrient from your nutrition alone. This is me, because I'm not a supplement guy. I really don't like taking anything that's not like directly from the ground. Like, I try and do that as much as I can. But the fact is that our nutrition has changed drastically, specifically with soil health. They did a study where they looked at an orange that our grandparents would have had, one orange. The same vitamin C content for today's oranges, it would take 8. Same thing with spinach. They looked at the iron content in spinach. A cup of spinach back in the 40s and 50s would take 6 cups of spinach today to equal the same amount. So as much as I love just going everything straight off from my plate for my nutrition, it's just not feasible in today's landscape to get all the nutrition that you need from food alone. Which is why even in this office where we talk about, God made, you don't have to fix it, we still do supplements. The supplements that we focus on are focused on the nutritional deficiencies that still show up even when someone is doing advanced plan or core plan. So before I talk about supplements, this is not even though we're having a supplement sale, the purpose of tonight is not to get you to buy supplements, especially if you haven't done especially if you haven't done core or advanced plan. Those come first, or at least while you're doing supplements. So if you're buying any supplements, one of your other action steps has to be, hey, I'm doing core or advanced plan. Does that make sense? Okay. Because one thing I hear often is, oh, I can eat out tonight, I'm taking supplements. Or I can miss my fruit and vegetables, I got my max greens, I'm good. It's like, you guys, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. So for people just getting their bases covered, we have the men's and women's multivitamins. Deficiencies look different, men and women. For example, women typically have a lower iodine level than men, so just to be approached differently. But if you're looking at something that is super high quality, that would be your go-to. That covers all of your bases. Anytime you're looking at supplements, all the supplement should be is a concentrated amount of food. When you concentrate something, you want to make sure the quality is really, really high and the toxicity is low. What makes our supplements different than, let's say, GNC or Costco or Sam's Club is there's no fillers. We looked at supplements together and we just looked at the level of ingredients that were in them, and one had lots of ingredients and ours had just the essentials. It's not filled with anything. So when you buy these supplements, yes, they do cost a bit more, but the reason why is because their quality and their absorbability is massively increased. If you guys struggle taking greens, or at least getting your greens on a daily basis, I would recommend using one of those shaker bottles and getting max greens. They come in either chocolate or berry. They taste great. They're not spiking any sugar because they're sweetened with stevia. Great at fighting inflammation through antioxidants. Grass-fed protein. You know how we talk about grass-fed meat? The protein that you see in the stores, the whey, the isolate, in that muscle section, very little of it is grass-fed, which means it's conventional, which means toxicity is high, which means I wouldn't get it. So if you do have it right now, go ahead and either throw it out or finish it, and then get one of ours, because your protein is the building blocks of your cells. And as you heal, your body has to lay down new healthy cells. If while you're healing, it is laying down sick or fragmented or just cells that are less than, you won't be getting the results that you want. So protein, big one. We should most all of us are getting less than enough protein. So I start every day with one scoop of protein, which is about 30 grams. This has about 30 servings. It's great. It tastes great. This one we have as well. This fights inflammation. Anybody ever heard of turmeric?
Yeah.
Turmeric is the most powerful anti-inflammatory food on earth. There's one problem though. If you eat it, none of it gets absorbed. If you just eat turmeric just by itself, it goes right through you and you get like 2% of what you ate. So what you have to do is you have to combine it with something that boosts the availability. One of those things being black pepper. The other one being fat. What we've done through our turmeric is we've isolated the active ingredient that makes it anti-inflammatory, which is curcumin, and we paired it with two things, resveratrol and quercetin. Not only do those two things increase the permeability and the availability by up to 300%, but they also had added benefits to your body, fighting further inflammation. Who's ever heard doctors say like, hey, like drinking red wine might not be that bad for you, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why is because of resveratrol. So we put that in there to help boost this thing. So this is like turmeric anti-inflammation on steroids. So if you're looking to cut inflammation, I would pick up one of those. Last one, vitamin D3. This is just, the reason I put this up here and it's for tonight is because not only for right now with everything that's going on with our immune system, but vitamin D is a hormone. It's classified as a hormone in your body. It has tons of functions, from thyroid health to skin health to energy, fat loss, you name it. This is paired with probiotics, again, to increase availability. if you're not getting sunshine for at least 30 minutes a day, if you are in an office all day long and you're not having vitamin D, you've got to get some. Because vitamin D and calcium are also paired hand in hand, and as we get older, calcium loss goes up, bone density goes down, vitamin D can help with that. So make sure you have enough vitamin D. As we go forward, we're almost done, but I just want to take a quick minute for any guest that's here. Before you do any supplements or any advanced plan even, any core plan, you've got to make sure the system that God put inside of you for healing and function is working properly, and that's your nervous system. So if you've never been checked by a chiropractor to make sure that this guy is at least functioning as it should, then you can be doing all the things that you want. Core plan, supplements, tons of protein, and it's like filling your bucket with a hole in it. It's just not going to be working in your favor. So if you haven't done it, make sure you do it. You can, for all the guests here tonight, you can schedule a consultation, exam, x-ray at our friends and family price of $50. We'll schedule it in the future, but just so you know, you have that. That is super important. Okay. This is what I'm excited about. So, tonight the goal is everyone to take one action. Just one. It doesn't have to be this. But as I was describing it earlier, this is probably one of the biggest actions you can take tonight. I have a colleague by the name of Mark Supernaut. He's on the East Coast. In 5 months, he lost like a fifth of his body weight by doing this. He was a big guy, like over 100 pounds overweight, and did like that for a long time. He did this, and he's a transformed human being. And all it is, this is putting into action everything we know is good. One protein shake with your daily supplements. 2 meals a day being advanced plans. So you eat 2 meals, and you have 1 protein shake replacing that third. So you're doing some intermittent fasting. Drinking half of your body weight in ounces in water, which 128 ounces is a gallon. So do the math there. It's a lot of water. 1 45-minute workout. Doing your chiropractic adjustments or your home care, which your home care is that bag we gave you at the beginning if you haven't opened it yet. This is a big one. Natalie, lock the doors. No alcohol or cheat meals. So this might not be for everybody because we got Friday coming up. We got, what else is coming up? We got Saturday coming up. A lot of days. We got Monday. So, and then 10 pages of reading. I recommend nonfiction. If you were looking to not only reset your metabolism to lose weight, but to allow your body to start to heal and detox and really go in the right direction, fast, but sustainably, building habits along the way, this is what I would recommend. It's not for everybody, but if you're looking to do that, if you want to make that change, I would recommend starting this 30-day challenge. I'm going to do it. Dr. Courtney's going to do it. We're going to do it with you. So if you want to do it, all you got to do is text challenge to our office number. It doesn't have to be right now, but you text challenge to our office number and you will get support. We have a Facebook group. We've got a shopping list guide. We've got recipes that we're going to share as we go through these 30 days to make sure that you stay on track. If you want to do it, but you're like, hey, I don't know about the alcohol. Or, here's the reality. I care. The only person who really is going to care or matter about this is you. So you've got to make the decision of what is right for you. And maybe it doesn't look like this. Maybe your action step is taking your supplements that are still sitting in their box. Maybe it's doing your home care that has been, back behind your bed for the last 3 weeks. Maybe it is making an appointment to get your nervous system checked. Maybe it's just doing core planning. I don't know what that is for you, but if it is one thing that you can choose, I want you to take action tonight and do it, okay? So before tonight, what I recommend, if you want to do this, text challenge to our number, and we'll start this thing with you, and it's going to be fun. And, I didn't mention, you take a progress picture weekly. It's not for anybody else but you, so you can see the changes and have something to hold you accountable and stick to. You can invite other friends to do this with you. They can text challenge it and they'll still get the same resources. They just won't be getting, the chiropractic adjustments and things like that. But this is open to anybody. Okay. I want to pause here. Dr. Courtney and Natalie, before we finish, could we finish the raffle, please? Come on up. Before we finish, I just wanted to leave you guys with something that I've talked about with some of you. Obviously our faith here in this office, if you listen to the music, the faith is a big part of what we do. I believe, and Courtney and I share the same belief, and I hope you guys understand this, is like this health, this body that we've been given, it's a gift. And we've done nothing to deserve it or earn it, and a lot of us have just lucked into it. And that's for a purpose, that's for a reason. So I don't know what that reason is for you, but when we steward this body correctly by focusing on what we eat, focusing on how we move, and making sure we have the energy and this machine that carries our spirit forward, is what this is all about. So we can be fit for service, whether that's for our kids, for our loved ones, or whoever that is. So when we look at the why of doing any action from the night, I want to leave you guys with this quote, and it's said by Steve Prefontaine, who is a famous runner. When looking at your life, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. So I want you to ask yourself, because we're all in different seasons of life, what is the best next step that you can do for not only you, but your family right now? Like, what do they need from you? It might not be the 30-day challenge. It might be something else, but make that next best step and do it, because why not? What would be the best reason not to? Like, there is none. There is none. So I want to encourage you guys with that and leave you with that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday evening to be here in this office. We'll be hanging out. We're going to be sampling protein and greens. We're going to have the music going. I'll be up to answer any specific questions you have. There is 15% off on all the supplements today. What did I say? 15, 1-5. 1-5. Paying you to take home supplements. But please, hang out, have some Zevias. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.